It was one of the biggest scandals ever to rock American schools. Nearly 200 educators in Atlanta were accused of systematic cheating, including changing answers on the state's standardized tests in order to boost student scores. Atlanta is one of many districts to confront cheating, but this case was unique. Educators faced criminal charges. Ultimately, 9 people were sentenced to prison. Their appeals are just now beginning. Special correspondent Lisa Stark of our partner Education Week takes a look at what's happened. It's part of our weekly series, Making the Grade.
It's been horrible.
Dana Evans was one of the Atlanta educators convicted in the cheating scandal, one of the largest in U.S. history.
There's no harder lesson than the one taught today.
The convictions came on the 8th day of jury deliberations.
Their crime was a conspiracy to fake test scores.
The story has faded from the headlines, but not from the lives of those, like Evans, still trying to clear their names. Court appeals are just beginning.
I'm not who they said I was in court. Dana Evans is not a cheater. Not a person who would hurt children in any way.
The investigation uncovered cheating at 44 schools, most of them elementary, 178 educators implicated, accused of inflating scores on standardized tests by erasing students' answers and changing them from wrong to right. So why did they do it? At the time, testing was paramount, both under federal mandates and a hard-charging superintendent, Beverly Hall, who set targets even higher than the feds. Daniel Koretz is the author of The Testing Charade.
The teachers were under enormous pressure. They were teaching in a low-achieving district. They had very high targets to meet. The targets were essentially made up out of whole cloth.
Those questions are, why do we have to...
They were not things that teachers could meet by legitimate means.
Also in Atlanta, raising scores could earn educators accolades and bonuses. Not doing so could cost them their jobs. In Evans' case, investigators found as principal at Dobbs Elementary, she did not cheat or encourage it, but should have known it was going on. She is still dumbfounded at her conviction and the contention that educators cheated for money.
I got bonuses 1 year out of the 4 years that I was a principal, and it was $1,000. And I gave more than $1,000 to Dobbs. I paid for kids' uniforms, and I paid people's rent and their gas bills, and it is offensive that I would cheat for $1,000.
Cheating by educators has been reported in some 40 states, but Atlanta, a largely African-American high-poverty district, was one of the only places where prosecutors brought criminal charges. Conspiracy under Georgia's racketeering law, a law often used against the mafia and drug dealers, not educators. Ultimately, just a dozen Atlanta educators ended up before a jury. Others pled or were let off the hook. As for Superintendent Hall, she died of cancer before trial. 11 of the 12 in court were convicted.
All I want from any of these people is just to take some responsibility, but they refuse. They refuse.
Fulton County Superior Court Judge Jerry Baxter presided over the criminal case, then angry, now semi-retired and reflective.
I brought a bad chapter to a close. Not me personally, but, you know, the whole judicial apparatus. Yeah, this is...
Baxter,
my dad, he's the one
who comes from a family of teachers, both parents taught in Atlanta public schools, says he is comfortable with the verdict.
Beautiful. In my mind, it's not a victimless thing, because these kids, a lot of them were pushed on, a lot of them couldn't read, and they should have been held back, or they should have been given special resources. So I'm get a little bit worked up about it.
It's hard to know the impact of the cheating scandal on the students. A study by Georgia State University 5 years later found that students who may have been affected were about a half year behind their fellow students in reading and writing. But researchers admitted it was difficult to know how much the cheating played a role. The district has now started a program to help these students, 2,200 of them still enrolled in Atlanta public schools. Those who had multiple answers changed on tests they took way back in 2009. Do you even remember taking those tests in 3rd grade?
I don't.
You don't?
I really don't.
It was a long time ago.
Right.
Seniors Nikira Ross and Sheldon Garman III are among those entitled to extra tutoring, test prep, and one-on-one support.
Based on my grades, I don't really, need it.
Some, like Garman, are at the top of their class. Others struggle, but all are eligible for extra help.
There are people that come in and help you with your math or English or science, and they're really helpful.
Each student also gets a support coach. Is your coach checking in with you every day?
I see her, yes, every day.
Every day?
Almost every day.
Even when you don't see her, she knows, where you are. Sheldon, why are you in the gym? You're supposed to be in math.
This is the first sustained effort to help these students, now in its 2nd full year.
Certainly the intention is good.
Shauna Hayes Taveras is the mother of 2 children whose test answers were changed. She says the program, which will cost $3.5 million this year, is still a work in progress and took too long to set up.
We wait 6 years even to start a program. It's hard to be optimistic, but of course I have to be because we're talking about the lives of children.
Do you think the district owes it to these students to offer them this help?
I don't like to use the word owe, but I'm glad that this program is in place. If I was a parent and I had a child that was potentially impacted, I would utilize it.
Tiffany Franklin oversees the effort. There's no hard data yet to indicate whether the program is making a difference.
And success to us is that they graduate and that we help make sure that when they graduate, they have an option. And that's what we do.
But no one is helping those who may have dropped out because of the cheating scandal. District Attorney Paul Howard, who prosecuted the case, pledged to set up a program for them, but has not raised the money.
It's a kind of tough job because, it's not a real popular cause. But I think as a community, we owe it to those kids to give them what they lost.
Today in Atlanta, exams still matter.
We take accountability very seriously. We take our test results very seriously.
But District Administrator Bill Karich says tests are now just one measure of achievement. No bonuses are tied to scores, and nearly all students take exams on computers, making widespread cheating more difficult.
No one sees the test. We don't see it. Test coordinators don't see it. The only ones who know what the tests look like are the people who built it.
Georgia has also cut back on and revamped its required tests. Nationwide, there's been a backlash against high-stakes testing. That helped prompt a new federal law allowing states to reduce their emphasis on testing.
Right now, tests dominate life in schools day after day after day. I think that will become a little less so under the new legislation.
Dana Evans insists she never judged her teachers on exam results alone.
Because I knew that in order to be a teacher, there's a lot that goes into that. And it's not just about the end result of what a score is. It's just one day of one child's life.
Evans would love to work in education again, but figures that's unlikely, even if she wins her appeal. Meantime, at her old elementary school, there is still a banner touting test scores during a year when cheating went on. An odd reminder of a time that most in Atlanta would like to forget.
What kind of word?
For the PBS NewsHour and Education Week, I'm Lisa Stark in Atlanta, Georgia.
Good.